Hello, today I've invited my friends Elise and Diana to come and talk about one of my favorite camps of the year when we study Shakespeare. This year we're going to be doing Julius Caesar. We always make a point of going down to Bard on the Beach and making that part of our Shakespeare experience. I'm a great lover of Shakespeare, not because he's the famed Shakespeare, but because to me, he's like a philosopher in that he was a keen observer of human behavior. His plays are relevant today, as fresh today as they were 400 to 500 years ago. And that's because he has something in there for everyone. And I'm just wondering, as a young person, at least, if you were given the brochure to flip through, why would you choose a camp on Julius Caesar?
One of the main reasons for me is that when I hear the name Julius Caesar, I just kind of remember everything that I had learned about it, and it's just an interesting play to me because, well, some know and believe 100% that it is 100% the play based around Julius Caesar, and that is the true main character of the tragedy. Some may say that it's actually the tragedy of Brutus. He's the one who dies at the end, and he goes through all of this grief and questioning after he's already killed Julius Caesar.
So that's interesting what you say. So actually the play is called Julius Caesar, and yet Julius Caesar is knocked off in the middle of the play. And it's actually living through the reflections and the self-hatred and doubt that Brutus goes through. This reminds me of the playground. For me, Julius Caesar is not, say, the first play that I would do with young people, and because it's about politics, it's set in Rome, and yet I feel like when I was talking about it with you, Diana, there is something for everyone. And I mean, that was Shakespeare's hallmark. But tell me a little bit about your experience of that.
I think Elise made a great point about how, you kind of go into this play with an idea of who Caesar is. Even if you don't know much about the conflict or the particular historical moment, you have a sense of who he is, and I think the play does a great job of breaking that down and still making it seem relatable. When I studied Caesar recently at UBC, I had a really great professor who, she actually introduced The Tempest by calling it, a play that reminded her of a disco ball, and that it had something to kind of reflect back at everybody with its kind of seemingly endless list of interpretations that it offered. And I think Caesar offers a darker version of that. It lets us see our own grief and our own jealousy and our own desire to do what's right, even with this conflict with such high stakes at a time that's so far past us. We're still finding ways to relate to it and see ourselves in these emotions that really are very easy human to understand and very human, yeah.
So you cheated and you went down to Bard on the Beach before we go with the class. Tell me, what was your experience? What were your reflections of the play?
I really loved the casting for Antony and Cassius. I think they did a brilliant job. They were amazing. And just the decision to cast two women in those roles added a really interesting texture to the play and really made me think about the dynamics between Cassius and Brutus and Antony and Caesar in far different ways.
Interesting. Now, Elise, do you have any warnings for any young people who might go to see Caesar?
Well, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but basically there are some pretty violent bits. Of course, an obvious bit is when they all stab Caesar, but they didn't just stab Cinna, the poet. They took out his eyeball, then they stabbed him.
Well, thank you very much, ladies. I'm so excited to get started on Caesar next week, and we hope that you can join us.